Happy holidays. It's the Real Estate Show. Welcome to the Real Estate Show. My name's Rick Naples. I'm the broker of Zone Realty LLC. You zone your home. Well, the holidays are here. As you can see, I have Mr. Moose, who I bring out every single year to help celebrate the holidays. Everyone is running around doing their holiday shopping. Maybe you're involved doing some holiday decorations. You're thinking about family and friends, get-togethers, what to make, what to bake, and so on and so forth. It can be a very hectic season if you don't plan it out. And if you're doing all that, plus your house is being sold or you're buying a house, you have that much more added to your holiday plate. So we're going to talk a little bit on this show on some of my tips of what you can do to try and make this whole season not only a happy season, but an easy season if you're selling or buying a home. The first thing I want to talk about is presentation. Now, what I mean by presentation is the standard presentation of a home that's for sale. We have to deal with the weather when we're in the winter time. So you need to pay attention to what Mother Nature's doing outside, especially here in New England where we get a lot of snow. It's really important, as I've said many times here on the Real Estate Show, that you make sure that your driveway, your walkways, and the main entrance to your home are clear of snow and ice. Nothing worse than having a buyer come to visit to tour the home and they have to track through snow on the way in. And that brings me to another one of my tips or hints. I've talked a few times here on the Real Estate Show about putting those plastic booties over your shoes. That's something that you can buy and you can keep in the home. So if you are selling your home and you do know you have a showing, you can have a little sign or let the realtor know that you would appreciate it if the buyer would slip those little booties over their shoes to kind of lessen the amount of dirt or whatever that might get tracked in from walking from the wet weather into the house. Now, I always spend the holiday show talking about decorations. Decorations are wonderful. No matter how you celebrate these holiday seasons, everyone has their own way of decorating. Now, I always say be cautious with decorations and don't go overboard. What I mean by that is everyone knows the people in the neighborhood that seem to, for lack of a better word, they want the aliens in space to be able to see their home. They really go nuts as far as lighting displays are concerned, or those air-filled characters that people blow up and put on their front lawns. That's wonderful. That's great. All the power to you if you can do that. But if you're selling your home, you want to kind of tone it down a little bit. You want to keep those decorations nice, but to a minimum, because you don't want to overpower the features of the home. I'll give you a quick example. A few years ago, I was showing a house during the Christmas season, and the family that owned the house celebrated Christmas. So they had a Christmas tree in the living room, and this was a New England style house, and it had a fireplace. So they had the hearth and the mantle and the whole fireplace all decorated up with garlands, and it was beautiful. It was very tastefully done. But it was a little bit overboard because the tree was a little bit too big for the room, and it kind of encroached on the fireplace area. So you really couldn't see the whole fireplace. And because of the decorations around and surrounding the fireplace, you couldn't appreciate that the mantle was an old style mantle that was hand carved back in the day and had some very intricate and elaborate designs in it. and you couldn't really see that. It was a really nice feature of this old New England house that was obscured by the decorations. So really pay attention when you put your decorations up, not to cover up any architectural features or any features that you'd really like a buyer to see when they're coming through their home. So go easy on the decorations. The other thing I want to talk about is smells. Now, of course, during the holiday season, a lot of us bake. A lot of us cook. We're going to go to dinners. We're going to go to events. We're going to go to potlucks, whatever it might be. So you're constantly preparing food or doing different things in the kitchen. Again, if your house is up for sale, you want to just make sure to time it so you're not in the process of cooking something when someone's going to come and see the home. Now, I'm not saying that your cooking is bad. I'm just saying that sometimes cooking smells can distract from the buyer looking at the house. Now let's kind of flip a little bit. I want to talk about buyers. When you go out and you go to look at a house during the holidays. Well, there's a couple of extra things you need to be aware of. And as I just mentioned on the seller side, it's that the seller may have decorated the house for the holidays. Now, you're going out to take a look at the house, not necessarily the decorations. Although sometimes the decorations are very pretty and you're going to look at those. But try not to be distracted. Try not to get distracted to the point of where you're thinking about the decorations and maybe how you would have done it as compared to how the seller had did it. Because again, you're there to look at the house, not at their decorations. And also too, be a little bit more understanding when it comes to different nationalities, different traditions, different ancestral lines or whatever when it comes to the holidays. Not everyone may believe or decorate the way that you do. So when you're going out and you're touring houses, just keep that in mind. You're looking at the house, not the person's tastes or their decorations. Let's take a look at this little video I put together, which just goes over some of the tips I just mentioned. And I'll be back after to talk a little bit more about the holidays. This is a time of year, the holiday season, that families get together, and it's really difficult when you're trying to sell your home or you're trying to look at a home during the holiday season. And one of the challenges that folks don't necessarily think of, but quite honestly is very, very important to talk about when you're in the process of putting your home on the market before the holiday season, and that is to talk about your realtor's schedule. Now, what I mean by that is realtors are people too. You know, the holidays come along, everybody celebrates, Everyone has family gatherings to go to, events to go to, and so on and so forth. You want to make sure that you talk to your realtor and you coordinate together how the house is going to be presented and shown during the holiday season. Now, I've shown houses, believe it or not, on Christmas Day, only because the seller has said, we're going to be away, the house is there, you can come on that holiday if you want to. And I was available, so I was able to do that. That's not standard. Usually during Christmas Day or maybe New Year's Day or the day after, the seller prefers that no one comes to the house. They want that to be private time. But you also want to coordinate with the realtor, because if the realtor is planning to go away during the holidays, or the realtor has other plans with their own family, you want to make sure that you coordinate with them so that if an opportunity comes up for the house to be shown or maybe even be sold, the realtor has the coverage to make sure they're providing the service level to you. Now, again, I want to flip and talk specifically to the buyers. We've talked a lot here on the Real Estate Show about buying during the winter time and why buying during this time of year might be a good time as opposed to, say, buying in the spring or the summer. We're at the end of the year. Typically at the end of the year, the total amount of houses that are up for sale is a little bit less. So the sellers are a little more anxious to get their homes sold. They want to get it sold before the new year. They want to get it sold before the spring comes or whatever it might be. So they might be in a little bit more of a mood to negotiate on price than they would be, say, when the weather is warmer. One of the other things that when you're buying in winter that you kind of might keep in the back of your mind is mortgage companies don't do a lot of volume in the winter time because of the amount of houses that are being sold. So you might find the mortgage companies a little bit more, well, I don't want to put words into their mouth, but sometimes it's a little bit easier to go through the mortgage process than it is in the summertime because the mortgage companies just aren't that busy. So there's a little more time to get your file processed and expedited in a quicker amount of time because they just don't have a lot of files that they're processing. But again, that depends on who you're working with and what you're doing. Couple of the dangers when you're looking at homes during the winter time. Well, again, here on the Real Estate Show, I've told stories. I'll tell a story of a house that I showed once. It was a beautiful little Cape Cod style home, had a nice yard. We went to look at it right after a Christmas snow, so the ground was covered with snow. The yard looked very pretty. You know how the snow sticks to the trees and so on and so forth. Buyers bought the house. They moved in during the winter time. Everything was great. Well, come spring, when all that snow melted, they discovered there was an awful lot of trash in the backyard. You see, all that trash had been covered by the snow. So they were a little surprised that they had a lot of cleanup to do in the yard that they really hadn't planned to do, and they might have been aware of had all that snow not been there. And I'm talking about a yard, this guy had old auto parts in the backyard, a couple of tires, you know, things along those lines. They weren't really upset, but they said to me in hindsight, it might have been better to kind of explore the yard a little bit just to see what was there. And you also never know what the lawn is going to look like when it's covered with snow. My advice to sellers is if you can and you're putting your house on in the winter time, take pictures before we get snow and make those photos available to your agent or put them on display on the kitchen table so buyers have a good sense of what the yard looks like before it's covered in snow. There are a lot of articles that come out this time of year that give you all kinds of tips and advice and different opinions about whether you should buy during the winter time or sell during the winter time, and how the holidays may make it a little bit more challenging because of the different things that people do during this holiday season. You need to be aware of your basic needs and what you're trying to accomplish. If you're not in a hurry, perhaps sitting back during the holiday season and taking a break in your efforts to look for a house might be wise. If you're a seller, maybe taking the house off the market or putting it in temporary status during the holiday days, or maybe a week or so, by just letting agents know you can't show the house because we're celebrating the holidays. Maybe that's a wise choice. Maybe it's not. You want to talk to your realtor, again, when you're trying to plan out and coordinate how you're going to handle the sale of the house, the showing of the house, or looking at houses during the holiday season. Now, a lot of times during the holiday season, people are in a rush. So sometimes you may find yourself in a negotiation situation where everyone wants an answer right away. Sometimes answers can't come right away. Maybe a little bit of research needs to be done, or the seller wants to have some time to get some estimates on a repair or whatever it might be. So you want to kind of stay calm, and you kind of want to understand that it is the holiday season, and during the holiday season there's a few little extra challenges, so you want to be patient. The idea is, whether it's the holiday season, spring season, summer, fall, doesn't matter what season it is, when you're moving forward to purchase or sell a house, you just want to try to make it as stressless as possible, work with your realtor, help the deal come together, negotiate in fair, easy ways, and make your home purchase or home sale happen. This is the part of the real estate show I call the real estate mailbag. It's my opportunity to answer questions that are sent here to the real estate show, or to just make commentary on maybe a conversation or two I had while I was out and about in the field. During the holiday season, everyone's rushing around and shopping, and the furthest thing from your mind at this time of year is selling your home or maybe buying a home. But you may have already started the process. There's always a risk, if you take a break from that process during the holidays, that someone else who doesn't take that break may end up buying the house that you had your eyes on. Or the seller may sell the house to someone because you're just not there taking a look at it and didn't make your offer. You want to make sure that you're really comfortable in the way that you schedule all your holiday obligations with family and friends and events around your search or your sale for a house. And you also want to work closely with your realtor to make sure that their schedule doesn't conflict with yours, and they've provided the proper coverage should the realtor plan to be away during the holiday season. My name is Rick Naples. This has been the Real Estate Show. I thank you very much for watching. Happy holidays. I'll see you next time.